just sitting there and the cum on your belly is getting cold.
Okay, but we're not going to talk about that.
And then you see
No, if I went into the bathroom and I told my mom to stand here.
Damn.
If she takes 2 steps somewhere else, I'll start like screaming. I'm like, yo, why did you leave? You know?
Yeah. Like my heart is telling me that I need to go there. I need to go discover.
Yeah,
the
do it,
pyramids.
bro. You have to follow your purpose.
Hola, mi amigos. Your host Maverex checking in. I'm an Australian-born Chinese actor, storyteller, orator, food comerer, and narcissist. The Real Talk with Maverex podcast aims to share real-life stories that will make you laugh and cry. This show is all about making you feel more connected to people and the universe at large. So sit back, relax, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times, and enjoy the ride.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Maverex. So this is episode 6. I got my mate here, Tristan Kunz, and it is currently the 6th of October, 3:16 p.m. Sydney time. And yo, I haven't seen this guy since probably like a month, eh?
I think longer than that.
Longer? Oh man. So the last time I saw this guy, I didn't start my podcast yet. And he was actually one of the first people that I told about my podcast. And we were just so excited about it. We're like, yes, we're going to do this. And now it's like come to fruition. We're actually doing this.
You said you want to do it in your car.
Yeah. But now we are in a better place. He's got such a nice place here. I've never been here before. And yeah, it's good to have you back, man. How was LA?
Yeah, LA. I was actually only there for a little while, so it was like a couple of days, but it was good for what it was. Yeah.
For those people that don't know, like, why did you go?
So my mom, she had so she's like works for like the nutrition company USANA, and they had like a conference there in Salt Lake City, and LA is just where Australians land when you go to the US. So yeah.
So what was the most memorable experience of that trip?
Of the whole trip or just in LA?
The whole trip.
The whole trip. Probably say New York. So my one of my friends I met online through business, and he's doing really well. So I met up with him and some of his friends. Literally went to New York for like one day just to meet up with him to spend a day. Yeah.
So what made that memorable? Was it the wisdom you shared? Is it the tips they gave you? That kind of stuff?
I think it's a lot of things combined. Like, you know, like traveling in itself, you know, it might sound like I'm a brat for saying this, but it doesn't get the best out of me anymore, like just sightseeing and stuff. But like meeting people, I feel like that's just become a priority of mine. Like I just love learning and talking to people. And this guy's, you know, he's doing extremely well. He's like a film director. So yeah, I mean, we just spent the whole day just going from cafe to cafe. And the funny thing is he had like a credit card, but everything is like business expense. He put it on the tab. Yeah. So yeah,
So it's all like a write-off.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the life, man. Yeah, I really resonate with what you said about like how you prefer to meet new people and get to know them more than just going to see a mountain or like seeing a skyscraper or something. I think
it comes down to priorities, right? Like at this stage of my life, you know, I haven't gotten that. No, I'm maybe not spiritual enough to, you know, be like, oh, nature is the priority for when I go traveling. Like, obviously, I love sightseeing. Like, who doesn't, right? Going to new places, experience different culture and stuff. But at my stage, like, being where I am right now, like, I want to just soak up as much insight from people as much as possible. Like, that's the goal.
Exactly, and that's where I was going to, because when you meet someone and you learn about what they had to go through and just the wisdom that they have in themselves, there's a whole universe inside each and every single person as well. So everyone has this vast knowledge of all their experiences, especially the wise ones that have been through so much, like yourself actually. I want to talk about...
I'm not... Wow.
Dude, guys, this guy is 19. He's really humble, but he's been through so much. Can you tell us about, like, all the places that you've lived?
Shit. Like, are you allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah, bro. Do it.
Okay.
Say whatever the fuck you want.
So I was born in Sydney. I would say I'm born and raised in Sydney. My mom, she's originally from Shanghai, China, and I went to basically my whole primary school years spent in Shanghai. So I always loved the big cities. For a period of time, I was actually living with my dad, and he lives in a town here in Australia. It's a bit down south. But yeah, I always had this big city like vibe to me. Like I always wanted to be a city person. I like the competition. I like the hustle culture, I guess you could say. So growing up, that was me pretty much. And then spent 3 years with my dad, and then I did a little high school exchange to Belgium. That was my first time to Europe actually. So it's really cool to see different cultures and stuff. And then came back to live in Sydney. And then finished my high school years in Canberra. And then what else? And then now studying in Sydney again, pretty much.
So you were talking about your hustle culture, and it was always in you. Where do you think that stemmed from?
What do you mean?
Like, where did you get that hustle mentality? Like, you always want to be competitive. You always want to be in big cities.
I think just from my mom, because, she's always just, taught me this, you have, money's important, however, you need money to have options in this world. You need money to do anything, pretty much. You need a voice in this world to have an impact. You can't help other people unless you can help yourself. So, just, like I didn't come from a family that didn't have nothing, was brought up by a single mother, but, she gave me everything I needed. But at the same time, I understood how hard she had to work for that. So, yeah.
And growing up in a single mother household as a mixed race person, like how did that affect your life? Did you see the world differently compared to others?
First of all, I wouldn't know what it is to see perspective from another person. Yeah. But to me, it's like people try to make this narrative of how their life is so much harder and stuff, but they, it might be, but like you really don't know what the other person's perspective, so you can't really compare. It's only you're comparing from your perspective and your understanding to the other person, but you can't really feel what the other person's feeling. So growing up for me, it's really nothing. Like I see people always trying to make it a narrative, like how being like a mixed race is like like a tough or whatever. You don't feel like you belong here. You don't feel like I didn't feel that. Like obviously, there was, you look different, but it's just normal, like to me. So it wasn't a huge deal. Like
everyone looks different.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Going back to what you said about like you can't feel what other people are experiencing. You don't know what their experiences are. Like I've always had this amazing idea, and it's the idea of having like this kind of technology where it could be a helmet, it could be glasses, it could be something, but it puts you into the perspective of the other person, and you see what that person went through, but you also feel exactly what they felt at that exact time. And I feel like that's the only way where you could actually metaphorically and actually put yourself into someone else's shoes, because you're not just trying to understand what they're seeing, but you're actually going through what they're seeing. And I believe that one day there will be technology like that. And the reason why I've wanted
I thought about that as well.
Yeah. Well, obviously I wasn't the first one to come with that idea, but that I was inspired to, like, one day I want to invest in someone that can create that technology, because I'm not smart enough to do that, but it's because I've always wanted to experience what my grandma went through during the war and losing a husband while she's escaping the country and having to raise 7 children by herself in a country that she's never even heard of. And so one day, hopefully we get there. Hopefully in our lifetime, because that would be amazing. Imagine getting to know what LeBron James
But
went
I'm
through.
like, if you just instantly knew how the other person felt and, you know, experienced how the other person experienced, would that make you less interested as a person though? You'd be less interested in other people's lives. Because if you could just get it instantly, like, oh, okay, I understand how you feel now.
Yeah.
Would you still be interested in talking to that person and actually knowing?
That's a good question. I would think you would, if anything, you'll be even more connected because you know exactly what they went through and you can truly empathize, like, because you know exactly what they went through. So I myself don't think that it's a hindrance to connection, but I do see where you're coming from. It makes sense because then it's like if you have all the answers to the world, then the world is pretty boring because you already know. The whole idea of learning is because you're growing every day and you're always discovering something new. Because if you have all the secrets, just like I love the analogy of like playing GTA.
Oh, I mean, people would monetize this crap for sure.
What do you mean?
Like if you like some rich dude, you know, got all the insights, they
Yep,
would charge
100%.
people.
And I was actually thinking about this too, because you could sell your memories. Imagine that, selling your memories, like LeBron James or like, I don't know, Dan Bilzerian. Like people would want to buy those memories and people would definitely monetize that shit. So there's always the yin to the yang. There's always the dark side to the light, hey? But yeah, going back to your life and actually how we first met was pretty funny actually.
I remember.
I'll tell my side and then you can share yours, but pretty much for me,
Let's see if you know where, like if you remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember exactly where. It was like early 2021, and I was in the mindset of like, yo, I'm gonna be in the NBA. I'm training all day, every day, 3 times a day. All I'm doing is just training my skills, and I'm gonna get into the NBA. I'm gonna prove everyone wrong. Anything is possible. And I was like just training all day, every day. And I was even training, when I was working on the Marvel set of Shang-Chi, I still brought a basketball with me everywhere because that's how fucking motivated I was. That's the word, motivated. I wasn't dedicated. It was more motivation. But that's when I was training at this place called Oza Facility, and they have a 24-hour basketball place where they have shooting guns and everything, where you don't need someone to throw the ball to you. And so that's where I met this guy. And I don't even remember exactly how we started talking, but I guess we just started talking.
I remember.
Ones or something.
Nah, we were playing like I only made friends with you on the second time we met. Like the first time we were just playing pickup. I didn't even remember you. I didn't know how you were playing, but I just remembered you playing that day. And the next time I saw you, I was like, oh, okay, you that guy from last time I played pickup. And then you were like, yeah, give me, and then we just exchanged like contacts or something. And then
Yeah, we just like instantly connected. And then I was like, what, you're from Canberra? And then like
yeah, I guess.
I feel really, like there was the energy.
You were outgoing. I'll give you that.
Yeah. And from then on, we just got really close out of nowhere. And then like, I think you went to Canberra, came back, and then we got closer. And then I just see you as like my little bro.
Yeah, I think it was that dance thing that got close. Because you told me to come dance,
Yeah, because my friend Josh Kimchi, shout out to Josh, he was holding dance classes, and that's when I was trying to do some dance classes as well. And then got Tristan in, and Jimmy, and Kelly and stuff, and that was a fun time, man. That was almost 2 years ago, dude.
That's fucking crazy.
It's nuts, man. And so that was how we first met. And what I really respect about this guy is his mindset is very different to the normal 19-year-old. Because when I was 19, I wasn't saying anything that the things what he was saying. I wasn't thinking any of the thoughts that he was thinking. So, man, I can't wait to see this guy at like my age.
It's crazy because you're saying I got a crazy mindset, but there's so many people that are so delve deeper than what I have ever, knew. There's people, I met some crazy people. Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about them. Like, how do you know that their mindset is crazy?
Just that, I started this whole thing, I started reading books and, started getting to learn more about business when I was like around like 17-ish, like sort of manifesting for a bit, and then you actually get into it. But yeah, I know there was a guy I met, good friend of mine. Like we're in this club that's based here in Sydney called Cascade. But one of the members in there, he started like a business when he was like 12, 13.
Sheesh.
7 years, 5 years ahead of people, ahead of me, and about like 15 years ahead of the regular people. Yeah. It's just a crazy world when, you know, once you're at a certain level, you realize there's so much more to it, you know.
Yeah, there's always more to learn.
Absolutely,
as well,
yeah.
Which is what's beautiful about life, is because it never ends. And so what sparked your whole journey into like this, reading these books and manifestation? Like, what was the catalyst?
I think there's two things. So the first thing is obviously money. I'm not gonna sit here like be like, oh, money is like, I'm here to learn and just, you know, money. Like first thing, I want to be rich. I want to be wealthy. You know, I don't want money to be an issue for me ever. And the second thing is, I feel like it's kind of like naiveness, because I was so. It's like there's a story in ancient Chinese literature, like a frog sitting in like a, what you call it, like a well, and all he can see is the sky. So that's how big he thinks the sky is. So that's kind of like the naiveness I had. It's like, okay, I read a couple investing book. I read a couple, you know, books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, like really basic books, and I think I'm smart, but that's just not the case. You know, there's, like I said, you know, the ladders just keeps going up. Yeah,
dude, I haven't heard that one about the frog.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because it really, as soon as you said that, it was only a few words, but it painted this picture in my mind where the frog's looking up and he always sees is like this little circle of the sky.
That's all he knows. That's how big he thinks the world is.
Yeah, and that reminds me of the Plato's allegory of the cave, how like all they see is the shadows on the wall from cast by the campfire. And so they think that that's the only thing in the world as well.
Yeah.
But it's all just an illusion until you come out, you take the red pill, you get out of that cave, you get out of that well, and then you're like, just so much more that we don't know. And there's so much that we'll never know. But that's what makes it beautiful as well. So, yeah, man. I want to talk about, like, so what do you talk about? Like, you're saying that this 12-year-old guy, well, no, he's not 12, he's not 12 years old anymore, but when he was 12, that's when he started his journey. But what makes you, like, do you have any friends that are normal, like, quote, normal 19-year-olds?
I think we are normal. I think I am normal.
What is your definition of normal?
Like, in terms of what? A human being?
A 19-year-old.
You're living, you're breathing, you're eating, you're functioning. I feel like that's normal. Depending, like, wherever your mindset is, I don't determine whether that's normal or not, you know. I don't categorize just because your mindset's like, oh, if you want to play video games all day, you're not normal. Like, you're normal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I should structure my question differently then.
But I get what you mean, like, the majority of people is what you mean.
The general populace.
Okay. What's your question?
Like, the ones that go to uni and all that kind of stuff.
I do go to uni.
Yeah, but like they don't want to start their own business. They want to just do the normal path.
That's another thing. Like, I don't appreciate the whole culture of, you know, the fuck 9 to 5 culture, like between young people. Most of them are just following this trend. Like, they feel like they're going against the majority of what the population says, but they're really not understanding the other perspective as much as the other population is not understanding their perspective. They're the exact same, you know. Like, how could you? This is basic, right? Like, how could you have a world function without like people working for you? You know, everything's a cog in place, and you need these systems.
So you're saying that there needs to be leaders and followers. They can't just be leaders.
I think you can both be a leader and a follower.
I agree.
Yeah, it's not necessary, you know. Split the lines.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Okay. But like, I guess where I'm trying to steer this is that I gotta think one out. Is that, like, you know, When I say normal, I mean like the ones that don't want to pursue a life where they know, because I believe so many people
Okay, I get
know
you.
what
Okay.
they want, but
Okay,
they don't go out and go.
let
and
me
get it.
rephrase it for you. People that are fearful to following their highest purpose.
Exactly, that's what I was saying
Okay.
before you cut me off.
Alright. So what's my opinion on them?
Yeah, and like why are they not doing what you're doing?
It's just different priorities, different life experiences. Maybe they haven't had as much exposure as I had to things. Maybe they close themselves in a box, whether willingly or unknowingly. Like there's a lot of circumstances where your family can come into play. Outside influences can come into play.
Yep.
So, but it does take a little bit of self-initiative as well.
In what sense?
Well, you need to know as a man that following your purpose is written into you as the most important thing for you. And most men in today's society, as much as, you know, the audience doesn't agree with some of the people on the internet, what they say, but a lot of men are weak in today's society.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Man. And I'm definitely on that journey where it's like getting stronger every day. But I definitely, back in the days, like at the time, obviously I didn't identify as a weak man, but like looking back now with the experience that I've gone through, like I look back, I'm like, damn, I was so weak, man. Like someone that wouldn't speak up for their own values and wouldn't stand up for themselves. And I was strong physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, I was definitely a weak man. And I believe most of the men nowadays are more so like just big boys. And so how can we steer the whole ship of like the society, like men? Like how do we grow boys into men? Like what can we do to help them to transition into a man?
Now, I've said this once, and it still applies. Like as much as people, you know, with the whole culture of our universities bullshit these days, you know, university may be not the best. It could be a system that could be improved, but education is still one of the most important things in this world. It is.
Education is
Your answer right there. Yeah.
So you're saying that education is what's gonna grow.
Education, like I don't know, like what comes to your mind when thinking of education, but education can be everything. Like not just math, you know. Just I'm sure you read the book The Way of the Superior Man, right? Yeah, you know.
It's just about learning and becoming a better person every day and
absolutely
acquiring wisdom and experience.
Reading books is huge. Yeah.
What's one book that really stood out to you in your life?
I haven't been reading recently. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm talking about in your entire life. Like, what's one book that stood out? Obviously, The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. That was a really good. Guys, even the females listening to this, like you need to read or listen to the audiobook of The Way of the Superior Man.
I think it's written
It's on YouTube as well.
It says it's a way of superior man, but it's written for females, like as well.
It's written for both.
You'll understand how the man works better.
Yeah. And it talks about female nature as well and male nature as well.
Yeah.
So it talks about the whole balance between masculinity and femininity and how
how today's society is just trying to balance these things out, which just doesn't work.
Yeah. Because most men have a masculine core. There are some men with a feminine core, but most men, they are drawn towards their masculinity. But I feel like a lot of us have been beaten it out of us, and a lot of us suppress it as well, because
not just males, females
as well.
It
works both ways. Yeah.
When the masculine body cannot take on masculine responsibility, the feminine body needs to replace that masculinity.
Yes.
And that's just not good. Just fucked up. Yeah.
Because a woman could be like, yeah, I don't need no man and all this kind of stuff.
This whole bullshit on the internet we see today, like this whole narrative of, you know, we don't need guys.
Yeah.
You know, it's just because you're speaking from your experience from one breakup. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you're talking from your experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because that woman hasn't found a masculine man enough to be a leader and lead her. That's why she had to lead herself. And that puts her into a masculine nature. And although, yeah, she can do all this stuff, she can make more money than men, she can be stronger than men if she really tries. But like, at the end of the day, she won't be fulfilled and happy. And she won't be...
Going against your core.
Exactly. And that works the same way with for the other side of the coin, where the men, like, yeah, we could just sit back and be more feminine and open up to our feelings and stuff, which is beautiful. Sometimes there's a time and place for everything. But if we're in our feminine nature most of the time, then we feel weak and we don't feel fulfilled. Because us as men, we feel like the best versions of ourselves when we can provide, when we can be leaders, when we can survive, like when we can give service to the community, that kind of thing. So going back to the books that you...
Yeah.
What's one that stood out?
I have a lot of money books in mind, like financial stuff, but I don't think that's like... It's like the beginner stepping stone, you know? It's not really something... Because, you know, there's certain books like for example, The Richest Man from Babylon, right?
I love that book, yeah.
Like, it's really good book, but like it will only get you to, for example, this amount of money this month. Once you pass that, it's like a very beginner's book, you know, because by then everybody knows the rich people know how to use money, like they know how to invest money. So I feel like there's books that'll get you to a certain amount of money or connections or, you know, wealth, and then after that you have another section. So one like timeless book that applies for everything, like I actually can't think of, but let's just say Think and Grow Rich, because it applies everywhere, you know, sort of thing. So maybe that. Yeah.
But going back to The Richest Man in Babylon, you got to realize that most people haven't read that book. Like, it's really easy for us to forget that our common sense is not the common sense of the
I understand that. That's why I said there's stages to it.
Yeah.
Like, once you get past a certain stage, it's like a very beginner's book.
Yeah. So what are some gems that you learned from The Richest Man of Babylon, in Babylon?
See, a lot of these books, it's like you read them, you can't remember every page they say, right? But it's like when you do things, it's like imprinted in your brain. Okay, This is how I should do it. I know this is the right way. So I can't. There's obviously like how many rules in there? Like some. There's amount of, you know, mandatory rules you have to do, but so like the obvious ones, you know, you should save, you know, 10%. This amount of your money. But I actually don't agree with that. I think you should save like 50+ % of your income.
It depends on the person, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that book was trying to talk about how the minimum is 10%. Yeah. Obviously, you can save 9%.
That's why it's beginner, because most people don't save any money.
Exactly. And so even that one gem of like, just save 10% of your income. Like, so many people don't do that. But if you just apply that one rule from what you learned in the book, then your whole life will be so different. And it's just one tiny rule. And 10% doesn't sound that much. But if you do that over a lifetime, your whole life will be so different.
It's also different what kind of purpose you're into. So if you're someone working a day job, you know, you would want to do that. But if you're someone working a day job, you want to do that to accumulate wealth for when you retire. But if you're like someone like, you know, trying to make big bucks or something, whatever, you know, there's a lot more different things you can do than just save 10%, you know.
Yeah, like what?
Investing, you know, that type of stuff. Obviously, you save more money, like I said. Like, if you're making like 120K per month, you'd say like save like 70% of that, preferably,
And then reinvest that into
this time I was in New York, I have a friend, and he would only, you know, spend money on an apartment that he could pay in 1 month for the whole year. Does that make sense?
So
he would only stay in an apartment that the rent of the apartment he can cover in a single month for the whole year. So a year's worth of rent he can cover in 1 month. That's the price. He sets his boundary.
As in, like, he can only his budget is he has to be able to pay for the whole year in 1 month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is a lot different than what normal people would view money. They would say, okay, I want to live nice when I have, making $500 a week. I want to live in a luxury apartment. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by like the general populace, because the most people, they live paycheck to paycheck. And
Absolutely. Like even in New York, like he just straight up said, 90% of the people you see on the street living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah.
Why do you think that the vast majority of humans live paycheck to paycheck, and they don't want to, I guess, budget themselves?
I think everyone wants to. They're just not being told how to do it. So it's the same thing I said before. Education is everything.
So you think they know that they need to do that? So you wait.
No.
So you think they don't know that they need to save and budget, and then
I think everyone has this sense of, I got to save money. No one's gonna be like, I should live paycheck to paycheck. But it's just like, they've been taught so much to buy these things, these things that are worth nothing, in the grand scheme of things, kind of thing.
Because I would think that a lot of people, they know that they need to save money, but at the same time, their want and need for society to accept them, that's why they buy these fancy clothes, these fancy cars, and they want to flex. They want to show their status.
Yeah. It's like, what was that book that said 7 Habits of Highly Intelligent People? It said like
Stephen Covey.
Yeah, it says like feeling important is one of the humans' biggest core value. Like, you know what I mean? Like feeling important.
Yeah.
So if you're not getting that sense of importance from elsewhere, well, you go out, you go and buy a Gucci bag, you go and buy like a Hermes scarf or whatever,
Yeah.
That's where you go.
Because it makes you feel that people value. They're like, oh yeah, this guy's
in saying that,
money.
it's also a good thing and a bad thing. Like, we're doing this podcast right now. Like, I'm on it because I want to feel important. I want to feel like I'm important,
Yeah.
But it's just like how you use that energy.
Yes.
Yeah. Rather than spend it on something that can make you grow, or like, waste it on something that you think other people will respect you for.
Yes. I love that. And I love that how you were open enough to admit that, because
obviously, man, everyone's humans, I'm wearing these clothes because I want to feel like I'm important,
Yeah. Yes.
So, yeah.
By the way, guys, it says, Ye must be born again. Yo, shout out to Ye, man. It's about Kanye, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I just followed him again recently on Instagram, and he's just been spitting straight facts, man. He's doing the most controversial shit, but he's trying to wake us all up from the Matrix, bro. Like,
he was Andrew Tate before Andrew Tate.
Yeah, it was. That's facts, but they didn't cancel him because they knew that the whole world would go crazy if they did. And man, he's got like jumpers that say "White Lives Matter." He's just doing this. And I agree with like everything that he's doing. It's like the whole Black Lives Matter thing was like a psyop, like a freaking psychological operation. And he's trying to wake the sheep up, but when you call someone a sheep, they get angry, and they're more likely to stay asleep than if you say it in a nice way. So I feel like I don't know, we gotta be the best versions of ourselves, but obviously we gotta speak our truth as well. But you can't like shove something down someone's throat. Like I could be like to everyone, oh, like you gotta be fucking vegan, like you gotta stop eating these dead carcasses. But who's gonna fucking listen if you do that?
No
one. But going back to what you said about, I kind of lost my train of thought, but I want to go a little bit more back, and hopefully that'll come back to me.
Go ahead.
I want to ask you about like your relationship with your mom. Like obviously it was a really healthy relationship. That's why you have such a
it's
healthy outlook on life.
It's like obviously behind closed doors, it's always a bit more than what you see on the surface. But overall, I'll say me and my mom's relationship are very close,
Mm.
extremely close.
Mm.
Yeah.
You tell her everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's. I feel like those are the kinds of relationships that we need with our parents. Because I do that with my mum as well,
Yeah.
but I don't do it with my dad.
I think single childs get that little bit better than people with, both parents.
Mm.
Like, I'm not to say single child is better or anything. Like, it's just I feel like, because usually what they say, like the son's closer to the mom, and then so, and being a single parent, so that I think that brought us closer. Like, yeah.
Because you had no choice, kind of thing,
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to link that to, like, have you heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yeah, I have.
I really believe that because growing up, our households were so abundant with the lowest needs, like the food, shelter, money, and all that stuff. That's why right now
What was the top thing? It was in the book, right? It was importance. Feeling important.
it was
No.
self-actualization.
Oh, okay.
So pretty much, when you don't need to worry about money anymore, when you don't need to worry about getting murdered and all that kind of shit,
Yeah.
you start to manifest your most higher self, which is self-actualization. So for
Okay.
everyone, it's different.
So, like spirituality, that type of
Spirituality, like art, creativity, everything.
Okay, gotcha,
So
gotcha. That's why rich people buy NFTs, huh?
yeah, pretty
Right,
much.
got you.
Exactly. And that's why, like, the riches of riches.
Yeah.
Like, that's why you see these rich Chinese families, the children are like learning violin and the cello and all this kind of
I
stuff.
don't think it's just rich, but like they force the kids to learn while they're middle class, everything.
True that. That's actually very true. Yeah, even like the working class.
Yeah.
But like, even like, would you agree that the more wealthy and the more well-off people, they have more opportunity to give that opportunity to the children? Because the people that are living on food stamps in America and stuff, and they're in a homeless shelter, they don't have time to find their voice. They don't have time to learn how good they are in the guitar. They need to survive. They need to look for money. They need to scatter around for opportunities to just survive, let alone, like, they don't even have time to think about thriving. So yeah, man, do you feel like because your upbringing, you had this abundance of like love and
I wouldn't say no. I there's a thing with a single child, like you actually don't feel the abundance of love.
really?
So when I was growing up, I had heavy like separation anxiety. So like, for example, if my mom went into like the bathroom or something, and I'm just waiting. If I went into the bathroom and I told my mom to stand here.
Damn.
If she takes 2 steps somewhere else, I'll start like screaming. I'm like, yo, why did you leave? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I think I've done that up to pretty late. Like, I was till like 10, 12. Not 12. Like 10, 11-ish. Yeah.
So where do you think that separation anxiety stemmed from? Like, did she used to like... just
Well,
go
she
to
was
shops?
always away with work. I grew up with my grandparents.
Oh, that's why, yeah. And so how did you break out of that separation anxiety?
I wouldn't say I think it sticks with you. I don't think you could ever break out of it. Like, it's like when I live with my mom, I still am very close with her. Like, I still, want her attention and stuff. But on the other hand, if she's somewhere like, overseas, like working on stuff, then I'll be extremely independent, So it's like a good balance of things. So when I'm with her, I'm close. When she's gone, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, yeah.
So I guess a better question would be like, how did you learn to cope with her being away from you?
You just grow up.
That's a huge difference from you not even being able to piss without her standing outside the toilet, from her being in a whole different country. That's a big difference.
Honestly, it wasn't that hard. You just kind of let age do its thing. Yeah.
So what was the thought process? Did it just happen? Like,
what happened?
Like when she did move overseas, or like when you moved overseas, like what was how you felt and everything for the first time?
It's actually crazy because it sounds contradicting, but when the first round when she was overseas, Now, like nowadays, because I haven't seen her 2 years before this year. When she was overseas, like around this age now, I would call her like usually every day. But before, like my first time, saying, okay, you got to go work, like I did not call her for like the whole time. Like it just, it wasn't like we had tension on it. It was just like I was enjoying, spending time. I was just living, I just didn't feel the need to. Yeah.
So
But you just grow out of it.
it's something.
It's not that deep, like
It's something that puberty just happens.
Well, not I guess. But yeah, you get used to it.
Yeah, because I'm kind of at the age of 29, the ripe age of 29. I'm starting to feel what you were feeling like back when you were 10. Not okay, maybe not that serious, but like because for some of you that don't know, I am moving to North America, which is literally on the other side of the planet.
Yes, sir, bro.
December 7th, and like I can't help but think, man, I'm gonna miss my grandma, I'm gonna miss my mom, I'm even gonna miss my dad, man. That says a lot, bro. So like, what advice could you give me, someone that's 10 years older than you? What advice would you give me? Like I don't know when I'm coming back to Sydney. Like it's indefinite. So I know that I shouldn't come back. Like my heart is telling me that I need to go there. I need to go discover.
Yeah,
the
do it,
pyramids.
bro. You have to follow your purpose. That's what the book says about,
Well, like I know I need to do it, and I'm already doing it.
Yeah.
But the question is like, how can I cope? Like, what methods can I implement in my life where I can like be more at peace and feel more like, and this is the right thing to do.
I think there's a couple of things. So first, obviously, enjoy every day. Like this sounds corny, but
the last 2 months I have left.
Yeah, enjoy every day with your family. Like, don't take it for granted. Enjoy, live in the moment. Like it sounds.
No, that's facts. Man.
Yeah, it's facts. But like, another one is, whenever you feel like you do miss them, like embrace the feeling. Don't try to fight it. Don't go ahead and be like, I shouldn't be, I'm 29, I should be moving out, I should be doing this, I should be following my purpose, there's nothing wrong. Instead, embrace that feeling. Embrace it.
So just feel
the love for your family. Yeah. Like
feel me missing them.
Yeah, feel
you
missing them. Feel that.
So how would I do that? Would I just sit down and think about it and like really cry if I need to?
No, just don't fight it. That's all. Like don't try to think away from it. Like don't say, I don't miss my family. Like,
don't lie to myself.
Yeah, just embrace the feeling. Like, just let it consume you. Like, you know what I mean?
But obviously, I can't take it past a certain extent where I'm just feeling sorry for myself as well, right? Is there a balance? I need to.
Why would you feel sorry for yourself?
Because wouldn't I be able to get to a place where I feel like I miss them too much, and then I end up like buying a ticket to come back?
Well, I don't think that would happen, man. Like, cause
I don't think so either.
Because you're thinking about this before you go. So once you get there, I think you take like a month or two to settle down. I think you'll be well off, man. Like for sure. And you can't think of this like a separation for like eternity. You're gonna come back. You're gonna see your family. You're gonna make bucks.
Thanks for the advice.
Yeah.
Okay, now I remember the question I was gonna ask you earlier. So you were talking about how like people, they...
Oh, can I get some water?
Yeah, bro. Pause real quick. I'll check to see if we're recording still. Well, pretty good, bro. How you feeling?
Yeah, it's good. I like it. Alright, let's keep going.
And we're back live. So
Just got some water.
You just got some H2O. Stay hydrated, guys. If you're watching this video, get a sip of water right now. And also make sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon. And love me. Send me some money. By the way, so the question I wanted to ask was, you were talking about how people, they know what they need to do, but they just don't do it. Like for example, like the people that live paycheck to paycheck, right? And I wanted to go back about, because you said also that they just don't put the energy in the right place. Like they end up buying the LV and the Gucci and all that kind of stuff. But they know they need to put that aside and that kind of stuff. So it's all about where you put your energy. So I wanted to link that to, like, we spoke about this ages ago, but you were talking about like how you don't watch porn and you haven't seen that for how long? When was the last time you watched porn?
I obviously, watched it like a video, so just a, curiosity, over the cup, but I don't watch it. If you're saying like properly, like, do all the thing and shit, like, I don't do that. But last time I watched probably like when I was like 12, 14.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
13,
crazy.
14. But obviously I've watched it, like just in between, like if I want to check it out or something, just
But like 12, 14, that's around
13, 14.
You were doing the deed and you were like just doing what every other male does.
Oh, I wasn't even doing that.
You weren't even doing it?
Nah.
So that was the last time where you actually like really just
interested in it.
Yeah. So well, that's the thing, like because
and it was because like I wasn't even that interested. It was more like, okay, well, you just get to see naked girls on the page,
Yeah.
That's a new thing, so that's why, I guess. But it wasn't really like a necessity, Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I feel like that, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like because you didn't dissipate and deplete all your energy towards porn and like just letting go of your sexual energy, that may have been a big reason why all your sexual energy that wasn't wasted, it got put back into your brain and recycled, and then you could use that into self-actualization and learning about yourself and learning about money and all that kind of stuff, because you weren't wasting it every single day. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. So there's one saying I really like. It's from this guy online. He said, success is not about what you add to your life. It's more about like what you don't do.
Ooh, yeah. Yep.
It's often a lot easier than you think it is, like you said before, like people know what to do, but they can't stop what they're doing. I was playing video games a lot back then. Even like when I came back from America, like I had like a 2-week span of I just play video games.
Yeah.
So I had to cut that out, and then things start coming together. It's about what you don't do. So people know what to do, but they just gotta have that discipline and not do it. Video games. If you just stop video gaming, if you just stop the bullshit in your life of like, jacking off every day and shit, like, just doing pointless shit, going out on the street, just walking around with your friends, like, there's no point in that,
Yeah.
If you just stop doing most of that, you just have so much more energy, like, opportunities just come your way. It's about what you don't do. Yeah.
I think Bruce Lee also said that. He said something along the lines of how it's not about the continuous adding on. It's more so about taking out the things that are weighing you down, letting go of the baggage. And I definitely agree with that, because we know we shouldn't be eating junk food. We know we shouldn't be watching porn, but so many of us, including myself in the past, is like,
it's hard. It's extremely
habit,
hard.
That's why as well. You've been doing it for so long.
It's extremely hard. I'm not like this is not easy at all. Like I've been trying to wake up earlier and stuff. It's hard. I can't imagine if you've been eating junk food all your life just to stop. Like that's extremely hard.
Cold turkey.
Yeah.
So you said you came back from LA and you were playing games for 2 weeks. How did you muster up the energy to completely break that off? Or like, was there just a shift in mindset? What was the thing that helped you to stop?
There's a couple of stages. So the first is obviously the realization. Like you need to realize what you're doing is just not being productive. And then what you can do is
acceptance. And
then what I did is I just completely deleted the game. But then after a couple of days, I re-downloaded it. So there's obviously stages to it. And then you get to a certain point where you delete it again, and then you re-download it, and then you just delete it again. And I've never been back since. Like, yeah.
So the number one step is to just realize that you have a problem and that you want to accept that it's there, and then
everything starts from this thought, right? Yeah.
So it all comes to self-awareness in the beginning, hey?
Yeah.
And then from then on, then you can realize.
It's also, if you realize what you're doing, you have to realize what you're doing is damaging you enough, or what you're giving up for is not worth it, you know? Yeah, you have to weigh it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If it's too damaging, you know, for every aspect of your life, then you have to cut it out.
Yeah. So you felt like video games was damaging enough in your life for you to like, no, you got to be like.
I didn't play video games for like the majority of this year. Like it was only that 2 week span, and then I think January, February. But yeah, I used to play quite a bit of video games actually. Like,
what games did you play?
just like when I was younger, I guess like Battlefield, that type of stuff.
Number 3?
No, it was a shitty one, the Hardline, whatever.
Hardline?
Yeah, it's like the police, and
I didn't play that one.
I played it on the PS4. But it was the shittest Battlefield, but still played it.
That goes to show that even the shittest games are still so addictive.
Absolutely, man.
God damn, man. Yeah, man. I played video games up until like I was like probably 21, and I was just like, what am I doing? Like, yeah, it's fun and stuff, and you do learn communication skills.
It's one of those things where
skills.
It's like, it's fun, but it's not fun at the same time. When you're realizing, oh, I'm wasting time, but I'm still like, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's exactly how I would attribute the same feeling of like wanking to porn. Like, it's all about the lead up, and then before you play the game, you're like anticipating it's gonna be so good, like, and it's gonna be fun. And during, it's really good as well. But right after, as soon as the game's over, or you just came, you're like
2 hours going by.
Yeah, you're like just sitting there, and the cum on your belly is getting cold.
Okay, but we're not going to talk about that.
And then you see the reflection of your face on the TV, on the screen, when it's like when it turns blank, and you just see yourself, and you're like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Like, and then that's when
I can't relate with the other thing.
Well, I'm pretty sure a lot of people can.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's when the shame kicks in. You're like, I could have used that energy to do something better. I could have used that to grow my life. I could have used that to learn an instrument. I could have used that to learn a new language.
Yeah.
Improve my craft.
Lesson learned. It's all about what you don't do, you know?
Yeah, sometimes the best action is inaction. And I think this is the most applicable, the most people can relate to this, is social media scrolling. Like, do you do that?
Social media scrolling?
Yeah.
Like, do I scroll on do you have a time period of how long?
No, just in general. Do you ever get into the state where you're like scrolling, and then you're like, fuck, I'm wasting my time. Why am I doing this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd be lying if I haven't. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, when was the last time that happened?
Like what? Like scrolling through like Instagram Reels or some shit?
Anything, and you feel until you get to a point where you're like, what am I doing? Like,
probably like a couple of days ago, I'd say. Yeah. There's
How,
people that happen every day.
exactly,
that. That's
exactly.
crazy. Every hour.
Yeah. So how can we?
That's like
how
torture.
How can we stop doing that? Like, what if we truly want to do that? We know for sure that that's something we don't want to do. How can we eliminate that habit?
There's two people, right? There's two ways. Either you're someone that is extremely disciplined. What's that guy called?
Jocko Willink?
Yeah.
And David Goggins?
Yeah, he wrote that book, Discipline is Freedom. If you're someone extremely disciplined, then you have a blessing. You know, you have extremely good blessing. For people like normal, like me, or someone, you know, watching the video or whatever, you just have to delete that shit, like, just straight up. If you realize it's taking up too much of your time, just delete it. Don't think about the consequences. Oh, what if that friend texts me? No, just fucking delete it. Like, yeah.
But that is a pretty good argument. Like, what if your friend does text you and you can't contact them? And what if you are a content creator?
I think it's less important than you think it is, right?
What if you're a content creator and you need the social media to gain followers and build your life?
Well, that's a different story then.
So how would a content creator delete?
Well, I'm not a content creator, so I can stand in your perspective
fair enough.
and realize. But I'm sure there's a way you can cut something out. You know, I'm sure there's a way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's apps out there where they limit you to.
That doesn't work. Like.
No, limit you to just like posting, and you can't scroll and that kind of stuff as well.
Is that shit? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. There's so much technology these days that are coming out.
Well, you can use Instagram on your computer. That's a way. That limits the scrolling.
Yeah, that's true. And the That's actually a really good one. Limiting. I've heard of that before, and I've tried it, and
Because
actually really
I
works.
wanted to start making reels, and because I haven't thought about making TikTok, but I don't have TikTok, so I have to download it, and then because that's the thing. Because if I get it, like I feel like it's gonna be like a huge distraction.
Yeah.
But
Well, we're making some content for you right now, bro. So you're gonna have some TikToks
absolutely.
real soon.
Absolutely.
And yeah, man. So where do you see yourself in like 5 years from now?
5 years.
Yeah,
5 years is a long time.
it is a long time. That's more than a fourth of your life.
Yeah.
More than a quarter of your life.
So 5 years.
You'll be
I'll
24.
be 24. I see myself having a lot of connections around the world. Like just successful business owners, people in doing extraordinary things. Just connections. A lot of connections.
What is your idea of extraordinary things?
People that, are just the top 0.1% in whatever they do, rock climbing, whatever, But I since I'm more focused on business, so I guess more, entrepreneurial, that type of stuff, yeah. And I see myself obviously living extremely well. Like I don't have to worry about money. If I want to buy, a ticket to wherever, business class. I'm not gonna say first class yet, but I can get it.
Yeah. So ultimately, your goal is freedom and being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want.
I don't think that's my ultimate purpose.
Not ultimate
purpose. That's the stage, right? You get to, but that's not an ultimate purpose to live. Because I feel like that's a bit selfish, to just better myself. I want to impact the world on a certain level. Yeah.
But that's just a milestone because
that's a milestone. Yeah, that's the
impact the
stage
whole
you
world.
get to. Well, you don't have to worry about money. You can have that freedom. That's the stage you get to.
Because that's where the metaphorical cup of you being able to pour into your own cup and it's full. That's when you can do all those kinds of things, right? And that's when you can pour into other people's cups without without water, I guess, draining from yours, because you have like a cup that's overfilling and it's never gonna go empty, and you can just keep pouring into other people's.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you tell your 5-year-old self?
This is like one of those extremely basic questions. But what would I tell myself as a 5-year-old? I don't think I would even understand what I'm saying when I'm 5. I don't think I would comprehend what I would be saying to him right now.
Okay, make it 7. 7-year-old.
Usually with these type of questions, it's like, okay, it's like essentially saying, what regrets do you have?
No, it's not.
Kind of.
That's
It's like-
your perspective of it.
It's like saying, okay, what would you do differently to what you've done?
No, it's a very different question.
I feel like it crosses over though.
No, because
How
okay,
come?
let me answer it, and then maybe it will inspire you. If I were to talk to my 5-year-old self, I'll just tell him, just love yourself. And
Yeah, that's because you didn't love yourself or whatever when
no,
you
but
were.
it's not because I regret my life, because I don't regret a single second of my life.
Yeah.
So I would say things like, just don't worry about what other people are saying about you, and keep doing what you love.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, because you would tell yourself that, so obviously you experienced not being able to, caring too much for what other people say. You obviously went through that stage.
Yeah.
Right, so...
But it's not regret.
Not regret, but things you would do differently, which I said.
I wouldn't do it differently. But
So what's the point of the advice then?
Because it's like you want to tell them that they are loved no matter what. And that's the main essence. It's like...
So what, telling yourself a message then?
Yeah, telling them a message, but you wouldn't want them to change, but just let them know that they're loved That's my answer.
I think I would do it a little differently. I wouldn't say, okay, don't do this or don't do this differently or do that differently. I think I would rather say, just something like you got a bright future ahead of you or some shit like that. Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't go into, because like you said, you don't regret anything. I don't regret anything I've done either. Everything I've made, everything I said, I felt like it at the time. I felt it, that's why I said it. So that's what, I don't regret anything. And yeah, I just tell myself, you have a bright future ahead of you. Keep enjoying life, being a 7-year-old at this moment. And when things get ready, when things come to you, just take that opportunity. Just be ready, stay ready.
What was happening to you as a 7-year-old?
7-year-old, what year would that be in? Like year 2? How long does the podcast go for, by the way?
It's an hour right now.
Okay. How long does yours usually go for? An hour and a half?
We can stop it whenever.
Okay. Well, let's go for a bit longer, bro. I like talking. But 7, I was probably like in year 1-ish, year 2 maybe.
Yeah.
What was I like?
Yeah. No, what was happening in your
Oh,
life?
what was happening? Well, I was in Shanghai studying in a foreign language school, not an international school, foreign language. Every holiday I'd be going to Hong Kong. Just spent this summer or whatever there for 2 months. That was my life. It was good. I had a driver that drove me to school. Like in China, like didn't even have Uber or taxi every day, but it was like cheap, like $2 in the mornings to drive me to school or something.
Dang.
So I had pretty much like a private chauffeur, pretty much. So it was like cheap, $2.
Was your mum already making a lot of money back then?
I don't think she's making a lot of money. Like, what's the definition of a lot of money?
Like, was she well off?
Yeah, she was living comfortably.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Back then, when you were 7?
No, actually no.
Okay.
No, she was still upcoming. She was still
building it up.
Building it up. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
But she was, living comfortably. I mean, she had food on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't have to worry about not eating.
Yeah.
So, do you want kids one day?
Depends. Yes, I do want kids, but if I get into too much controversial stuff, then if it puts my family in I need my family to be safe, But I'll have kids, yeah.
So what do you mean by controversial stuff? As in, if you became like Kanye's status or some shit?
Well, Kanye has kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I'm
saying you won't do that because you have that kind of.
Oh no! Like if I'm getting more dangerous than what he has.
Okay.
If I'm put my family in jeopardy or something.
How would it be more dangerous than him?
Well, that you're basically asking me what my purpose in life is, right?
Not exactly, but kind of.
Yeah, well, if I get in trouble with certain people, like the government or whatever, that's crazy to think about now because I'm nowhere near, but just in the scenario where I am,
So you're saying if you were in the scenario where you're in trouble with the government, you wouldn't have kids?
I'll probably still have kids. Yeah.
Fuck the government, yo. No, but what makes you think that you'll even get into a position like that? Stop that.
Does that go on the mic? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think that far right now. Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
There's so much happening in every day that it's so hard to plan ahead.
Yeah. And it's there's a good analogy. There's a good someone wrote this really long article about how you should determine your career path. And one of the points in there is career path is kind of like dots in your lifetime. And if you're at dot 1, you can't really see dot 3 because dot 2 is ahead of you. And I don't try to, it's good to plan ahead like 5-10 years, but I don't plan 40 years ahead, You have a general idea of where you want to be, how much money you want to make, but you don't know what you're doing.
Yep.
And you shouldn't know.
Because it's like,
I think the max you should plan ahead is like 10 years. Yeah.
Why 10 years?
Why 10 years? It's like a long period, enough time where you can build habits and be disciplined and you can build an empire, but it's also short enough where you don't limit yourself to say, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. Yeah.
I like that. So,
can I go to the bathroom?
Again?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Do I need to pause it?
No, don't pause it. Okay. I'll just cut out the you pissing.
No.
All right, so we are live again, and you said you had a question for me.
Yeah, so I want to just turn the tables a little bit and just ask you about two things really. Just one thing's about your acting career, obviously, moving to LA and stuff, and the other one is this future of this podcast. So what can you tell me about? Let's start off with the acting stuff. Where you at right now? Where will you aim to be when you move to LA?
Okay. So right now, I have been doing acting for 3 years, just over 3 years. And I'm at a point where I'm making money pretty consistently.
Yeah.
And it feels good. But obviously there's always more. And 3 years is very young in the growth of an acting career, because most people don't really break out in quotations until like 10 years or something. So obviously the whole world is so different now, the whole dynamic of the acting industry and how actors find jobs and all that kind of stuff. King Batch, shout out to King Batch, he kind of revolutionized the whole, King Batch from Vine?
I know of him.
Yeah, so he kind of revolutionized of like getting jobs from creating content himself.
Okay.
And so that's obviously really inspiring, because we live in 2022 now, and like so many people from TikTok are getting famous and landing their roles in movies because they're famous from TikTok, because obviously the producers, they know that if they get this actor...
But isn't that kind of like a meme though? Like if you see someone from TikTok in a movie, kind of label that as like a meme movie, like.
I think that is right to a certain extent, because there was this movie that came out recently where there was this TikTok girl and she had like millions of followers, and she was only, obviously, her acting was pretty good as well, but like it's really hard to see past that, because like that she landed the role because she is for sure going to bring in millions of people to watch the movie as well. So it's like a very tricky situation. So obviously you don't want to be too famous from TikTok before you land up a movie, because then they'll just see you as a TikTok guy or a TikTok girl, and obviously I don't want to be that. But the more I think about it, the more I just want to produce my own things. And
produce your own things?
Yeah. Movies, short films, whatever.
So you want to be a producer?
Plays. Well, the end goal for my acting career would be to share the story of how my grandma, like I talk about this all the time, but how my grandma escaped from the war and having her husband murdered. And
why do you think people care enough for that story?
Because I don't think people really, like, I'm not doing it for other people, I'm doing it for myself. I'm trying to prolong the legacy of my grandma, because she was such a huge...
So that's your ultimate goal?
For the film industry, yeah. I would like to share her story, because I really believe that stories change the world.
Yeah. And
so when you tell your story, you inspire someone to tell theirs, and then it's like a ripple effect. And they do say that the most powerful people in the world are storytellers. So, and my grandma's such an amazing storyteller, man. And that's another thing I need to do before I leave. I just gotta bring out all these stories from her, record all these conversations with her.
So you want to build up your platform?
Yep.
In LA, that's your purpose, to build up your platform, and in Australia here or wherever in the world, to share the story of your grandma.
Well, that's the ultimate goal, but obviously I'm going to have fun along the way. I'm going to do my own kind of stuff.
Okay.
Like, make money from her. But
I feel like your goal would change. I feel like that's something you can do. I don't feel like that it's a challenging enough goal as
well, I want to do it on a larger scale. I want to make it like a feature-length movie and like put a lot of money into it. Like,
so you want to make a movie about your grandma?
Yeah, film it in Cambodia and everything, and hire all these actors.
That's different.
It's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's probably going to cost millions of dollars. So obviously I can't do it right now. Or actually, I probably could if I raised enough money on like.
I don't think don't do it now, bro.
I don't want to do it now because I don't have the skills.
You'll get to a certain point where things will start clicking.
Exactly.
And your things will get so much easier.
That's why it's something that I'm not going to do now. Obviously, I got to hone my skills in the craft of acting and directing and producing. So I got to do everything. I got to wear all these hats. But that is my ultimate goal for the acting industry.
Yeah.
And LA in general, like, I don't even know if I'm gonna 100% root myself in there because, like, something in my heart is just telling me that I should probably stay in Vancouver. Vancouver or somewhere in Canada because...
I was in Vancouver, like, just before. After LA.
When you went to LA?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, how was it? The vibe is nice. Yeah,
Yeah, you've been there, right?
I've only been to the airport.
Oh, fuck. Okay, Vancouver is like, you get this whole city, like the whole downtown's like on this island pretty much. It's a nice vibe.
Yeah.
But, yeah, is the acting big there?
Apparently it's pretty...
I think it is, because the taxi driver was saying how there's literally film makes like on the street everywhere or something.
Oh,
like
wow.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely getting
beautiful
bigger.
City though. Hey, beautiful city.
I've never been, so I've only heard stories.
Yeah.
And everyone tells me that it's really...
Yeah.
It would be my vibe. For example, my auntie, she has been to 55 countries. And
shit, that's a lot.
Yeah. And I've really connected with her because when I was in Perth, I was living with her. I helped her to raise her 4-month-old baby. And so we got really connected. And she told me that I should definitely go to Vancouver and like it would definitely vibe with me. And I believe that because she, out of all the 55 countries that she's been to, only 2 places that she says that she got off the airplane, she's just like, I'm home.
Yeah.
And the 2 places are Perth, which I also feel the exact same way.
Perth, really?
Yep. And also Vancouver.
Yeah.
Out of 55 countries, only 2 of those she felt with Vancouver and Perth. And I already feel the same way with Perth. So
You trust her?
I trust her. I trust her opinion.
Yeah.
She knows me. She knows where I'm kind of going with all this acting kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
And so, so I'm not limiting myself to be like, not for sure. No choice, but I'm going to be in LA and I'm going to just
you could always, I feel like you could always test things out. Like, don't...
Exactly. But that's why I'm going there, to see how it goes.
Yeah,
because obviously
absolutely.
I got 3 months. I got my grandmother.
It's not the, greatest place. Obviously it's dirty as fuck. But if you're there for, a purpose, then that's different.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So obviously that purpose can be fulfilled in different places, but I do need a different place to Sydney. I just feel like I need a huge environment shift.
Yeah.
So I think I'm tossing up between Vancouver and LA. And obviously I have Canadian citizenship, so Vancouver I could always fall back on if I don't resonate with LA.
Yeah.
And if I can't get a visa.
Absolutely, man. I think I have another friend that's moving to Vancouver. She's like she wants to do acting as well. So that would be cool if you end up there as well. And I can
we should link up.
Yeah.
So that is where I'm at with my acting career. Like I've just started to build some momentum. Obviously, I started my acting career in 2019, and then 2020 hit. That smashed all my momentum down to crap. But the fact that I'm still doing it says a lot, especially for me as a person. You know me as a person. I start things and it's really hard for me to stay on it. But this acting thing is like so ingrained in my life that I can't see myself not doing it.
Yeah.
So that's a huge part of my life. And obviously I'm not going to blame COVID because it happened to everyone. And if anything, I'm grateful that it happened because it showed me that I do want this and I do want to continue to do it. So that's
in terms of your podcast, where do you see this?
That's what I was going to answer next. So what was the question?
So your podcast, like, is this something you're going to have what happens when you run out of friends to podcast? Like, are you gonna start doing some bigger people? Like, if you get to that point.
Yeah, so that's definitely a goal. Like, I know for a fact that it's gonna happen. Like, that's like a no-brainer. It's like, obviously I'm gonna run out of friends.
Yeah.
And so that's why I kind of changed the branding of the name Maverex and Mates, because I'm gonna run out of mates eventually, especially when I leave Sydney. So I've rebranded it to Real Talk, because I just want to share real stories.
Real talk, okay.
Real stories of how people grew up and how they see the world and why they see the world the way they see the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've got people that I really want to interview. For example, like Lex Friedman.
Who?
Lex Friedman. He's like he's a very intelligent MIT professor.
Okay.
And he has his own podcast. I would love to interview Joe Rogan, like all the big guys, like Andrew Tate, just people in general that I feel people would love to hear their story of, like, their real stories that move our souls and make us laugh,
I think
make us
I think
cry.
you need a differentiating point to the rest of the podcast, like Joe Rogan and stuff, because they got some pretty big names on there, and there's no point going in competition with them. You have to have a distinct part of your podcast.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm not going in competition with them because I'm the only competition that I have is myself. So all I'm bringing to the table is myself, and that is what differentiates me from the rest of the crowd. Yeah. And so obviously I've got to build that up.
if you what do you think about like a group podcast, like with like three or four people, that type of stuff? Because like,
what do you mean? What do I think?
Like, what you can do, like an idea I have is if you just bring like opposite opinionated people together and then form like a real talk or something. Because because
like
it
debates?
will be debates, that type of stuff. Because there's no point having like two people that have similar thoughts and they just agree yes. You know what I mean? Like, that would be interesting.
That's a good idea, but that's definitely not the way that I'm steering this. Because the reason why I bought these lapel microphones is because I'm going to be moving from place to place. That's why I don't have a studio. That's why I don't have a place where I'm going to be there indefinitely, because I want to be able to move whenever I can. And that's
the go podcast.
Exactly, pretty much. And so that's why I record here in your house. That's why I record at the library, at my friend's house. And so if I were to have people that debate with me, and I would have to be where they are as well. So obviously we could do it online, but like I just feel like there's something beautiful and something that cannot be replicated.
Online's not good for podcasts, I don't think so.
Yeah, like I don't think it can be replicated. Yeah. This physical interaction where we can literally feel each other's energies. Yeah. We see each other's body language and we actually make real eye contact. Yeah. Whereas if you're online, you're like looking into a screen and you're not actually really connecting. You can still connect, but there's a limiting factor to it. So I believe there's something beautiful about physical in-person contacts. So I think that's a really good idea. I might do a few episodes like that.
Yeah, a few episodes, yeah.
And I'm open to doing episodes that are different, but I'm not.
Maybe if I make some really cool connections, I'll get you, we can do like 3-way.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. That'll be fun. Like, I'm always open to new ways of thinking and new ways of doing things and being adaptable. Absolutely. Because I feel like it's literally what Charles Darwin, like his whole idea of evolution is that like the animals that survived weren't the strongest, they weren't the fastest, they're the most adaptable. Yeah. And especially in this day and age, things are evolving so quickly. Like the way you build followers on Instagram is so different to when it was 2 years ago, 2 months ago, maybe even. Like Reels is so normal now. People's attention span is so small as well. So we always have to constantly adapt. And like, who knows if TikTok's going to be around in 2 months? Like, it probably will be, but something could literally just come up and just take the throne again instantly. So yeah, man, adaptability.
What's the kind of population that listens to your podcast? Like,
that's a good question. I actually think,
because I want to, let's give some value to them.
I think most of the people that watch my podcast are people in Cabramatta, like the people I grew up with. Yeah. Because the people that I've been interviewing so far are the people that I grew up with in Cabramatta. So, but obviously it's gonna eventually grow and more subcultures are gonna come and view and stuff. But the more people that I interview from different heritages, different backgrounds, different futures, that's gonna make it more broad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like just the conversations we have in general, like a lot of people can just pull out their own gems, and everyone's gonna get something different from each podcast. I've had a few different people message me, and some would say, "Oh, this podcast was the best," and then some people say, "No, this one was the best." Like they are already having their own ideas about it as well. So at the end of the day, we can only like create the thing, and then people are always going to judge based on how they feel and what they've gone through. Okay, now
The person I'm interviewing.
the interviewer that became the interviewee is now becoming the interviewer. So how long do you think you'll be in Sydney for again? Like, or do you think you'll be setting up camp somewhere else?
Setting up camp, like live long term somewhere
Yeah.
else. Well, first I need the money to make any decision on that, so I haven't thought about that. Yeah.
So, okay, actually, out of all the countries that...
Yeah. I'm actually moving... Oh, sorry, I cut you off again.
That's all good.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm actually moving out, I think, in a month time.
Oh, what? To where?
Yeah, one of my friend from the UK, he's coming over. And then another friend I had near Sydney, he's also moving in. So 3 of us going to be getting a place.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. So, what are those guys' mindsets like?
They both do. So one's doing like a marketing agency, like Facebook ads or something, and then the other one's working with like real estate agents. So trying to get them clients and stuff. So they're both like kind of like entrepreneurial. Yeah.
Okay. So you're moving in 1 month. You're moving out for the first time. Like, well, not for the first time, but you're gonna be living with other people.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are you most excited about that?
A lot of things like since I'm kind of going off topic a bit, but since COVID started, I haven't been overseas for like 2 years, and last month was actually the first time I've been for over like 2 years. And with this friend moving in and just COVID sort of clearing up, there's a lot more opportunities. Like I'm actually going to Bali in like this Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're finally gonna become a true Australian.
Oh really? Yeah. I've never been to Bali before. Yeah.
Exactly. Like that's the
ultimate.
unspoken rule is like, if you haven't been to Bali, then you're not a true Australian, because every Australian's been to Bali. It's so close.
Yeah. Yeah, just to get away from the hot weather a bit. And my mom, it was like a rewarded business trip. But since I'm gonna start moving in with my friends, it's gonna be, just having like, this is the most important thing, just having people around you that are sort of doing similar things. The people around you is who makes you, So having that is just, especially living with them, is just so valuable.
Because then you soak in all the knowledge, and you don't even have to talk to them about it. Like, just watching how they live, it affects your life.
Yeah.
And slowly seeps into your habits and your consciousness as well.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, man. There's gonna be so much growth there, spiritual, mental, physical, everything. So I wanna go talk a little bit about spirituality.
Okay.
How do you feel that your spiritual growth has evolved over the years? Like, were you born Christian? Are you Christian now? Like,
my mom, she's a Christian. Because I didn't technically grow up with my mom. So whenever I would see her, she would sometimes go to, because she's a busy lady, but sometimes she would go to church. I would just follow along. I was never forced to go to church or anything. I feel like that's a lot more healthier relationship you're able to have with God itself. He's not being forced into it.
Yeah.
Like, everything I believe in is my decision. So yeah, I'm not technically Christian because I'm not baptized, but yes, I do believe in Jesus, and yeah.
Well, yeah, even Jesus wasn't a Christian. Like Christianity started like after him, right? Like,
Yeah, I think it's meant for his followers, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So how has spirituality helped you to go through the struggles throughout your life?
Well, everyone faces problems, and we all handle it differently. For me, it was just I never had to go through things like so severe, or maybe it's my capacity is different to other people, and that could be a reason why I keep saying it's not a huge thing. Nothing is a huge bother to me. But I never had to, at least for me, go through things that are so severe. But obviously I do go through things like everybody else. And how does spirituality help me? Well, it gives me like a, kind of like a backbone, to fall back on. And there's always someone to listen to you, to hear you, someone you can talk to, Yeah.
So praying helps you with those situations?
Not necessarily praying. It's more about letting your ideas flow through your head, like how I talked to you about embracing it. I'm not running away from certain feelings I feel, certain struggles. I just say it. I say, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, and then you can put it as a prayer. Yes. So yes, I guess so.
Okay. And so, for the people that can't seem to find or see any spiritual elements in their life, like what would you say to them?
I think that there's a lot of opinions on this. Like, if you're an atheist, there's a lot of viewpoints on this. I've seen like the extremes. There's people online that literally tell you, like, you're living too much in the present, for you to not believe there's a higher power, but like you're too indulged in believing everything you see is the truth. And I feel like you're too self-absorbed for that as human beings. Like, I'm not here to say your belief is not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to judge your belief or anything, but I feel like if you feel like this is all there is, that's kind of like hopeless to me. Like, and I feel like that's, you're too self-centered to think that. Because you're thinking, I see this and I believe this and this is all I'm going to ever believe in. How do I word this? Like, basically I'm saying, I feel like to a certain extent, I don't believe this 100%, but I feel like to a certain extent, if you don't believe in anything outside yourself and what you see, then you're just finish the sentence up for me. Like, do you kind of get what I mean?
Yeah, it's like if you don't believe that there's a higher power,
you're too much in the physical realm. Yeah.
Like if you truly believe that all you see is all you get, then you're kind of limiting yourself.
Absolutely.
You're not letting your imagination run wild, and you're putting yourself in a box. Because I really like the whole idea that science says I'll believe when I see it, but spirituality says you'll see it when you believe it.
Yeah. And another thing I want to add is, like, it's not necessary, for all we know as humans, like, there could be absolutely nothing out there, but every single person believes in different things. But I do feel like if you're someone that don't believe in anything, like you're atheist, like you just feel like if you die, you just die, you're too absorbed into your own truth, I feel like. Because even if there is nothing out there, you're kind of like that frog just looking at the sky. Like, that's all you choose to believe in, because you're limiting yourself to possibilities. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, literally, you're just boxing yourself in, and there's nothing else. Everything I know is the truth, and
Yeah.
you're closing your mind.
You're saying you, as a little human on this planet Earth, knows the truth to the universe. Like,
and
that's how I feel about it.
Comes back to ego and selfishness. So, on the opposite side of that, love. What do you think love is?
What I think love is.
That's what I said.
What type of love?
Just that four-letter word to you.
I think there's different levels to love. Like, for me, because I believe in God, I feel like Jesus' love can never match another human's love. And, a maternal love can never match a love between friends. It's just different in its own way.
So correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that love between friends is here, and then maternal love is a bit higher, and then love with God is even higher.
In a sense, yes, but also they're different. So you can't really compare them. That's what I'm trying to say.
So what makes love between God different to love between your mum?
One's human and one's not human. If you choose to believe in something higher, then in the Bible it says, we all sinned. So humans can never love the same as God loves. So.
Okay. And so what makes God's love more than the love of a mother?
Well, God itself, it's not sinned like humans are. We're all born with sin.
Yeah. But like, when a mum loves her child, how is that sinning?
I'm not saying that's sinning, but the person who loves is sinning.
So you're saying that because a person sins, their love isn't as strong?
Not necessarily. I'm just saying, I'm not talking about this hierarchy thing. It's just, I feel like it's just different. Like you can't just say the love is the same for all relationships. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like not necessarily this is better, this isn't. It's just different. Yeah.
I think what I'm asking you is perfect for me to read this quote right now. Because in the book, have you read the book A New Earth?
No.
By Eckhart Tolle?
New Earth.
A New Earth.
A New Earth, no.
Yeah, so it talks about egotism and all that kind of stuff. And he mentions how you can't really define anything. You can't really define a cup, because as soon as you say that this thing is labeled as a cup, you're putting it in a box, right? And so if you can't even define an object, we definitely cannot define love, because love is, you can't even see it. It's something that someone does, it's something that someone says, but you can't physically see love. So in that sense, it's even harder to define. So I want to read a quote. He says, "Words reduce reality to something the human mind can grasp, which isn't very much. Language consists of 5 basic sounds produced by the vocal cords. They are the vowels A, E, I, O, U. The other sounds are consonants produced by air pressure, S, F, G, and so forth. Do you believe some combination of such basic sounds could ever explain who you are, or the ultimate purpose of the universe, or even what a tree or stone is in its depth?" And so obviously the answer is no. Like, we can't. That's the reason why it was so hard for you to answer those questions, is because you can't put a label on love. Like, what is love? The whole point of it is that it's like infinite, and you can't put the infinite into words. So what did you think about that?
I think, yeah, it's true. But as humans, we obviously put a label on things to, make our life easier. right? But if as long as we admit we don't know everything,
Yes.
then that's okay for us to label things.
Yep. And that kind of goes back to the point where you talked about how love with God is different too, because God is not physical. Like God is like all encompassing. It's all powerful. It's infinite. He, she, whatever you want to say. It's probably he and she and nothing at all, and everything. And so that goes back to the idea that because that's why God's love is greater in some senses, because you can't define it. You can't put it in a box. Whereas humans, you can. Like you can literally put a human in a physical box. And so in ways you could label it and stuff. But whereas the love between God is ultimate. It's never ending.
Yeah, words are powerful. Like, there was this online video saying like, you shouldn't say you're a student, you should say I'm studying or something like that, because you're trying to label, kind of like what you're saying, you're putting yourself, categorizing yourself. Yeah.
Yes, that's why I love the whole idea of like being an artist. Like you don't want to label yourself as an actor. That's why people like Kanye is like, yeah, I'm a rapper, but I'm also a fashion designer. I'm also a lyricist. I'm everything. Like, don't put me in a box. Anyways, I think that's a perfect way to end the podcast. Dude, thank you so much for being on this thing and letting us stay in this beautiful place. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Make sure to like, subscribe, click the bell icon, and do everything to help support this message.
Is this going to be on YouTube?
YouTube, I'm probably going to post it on Rumble as well.
Rumble?
Yeah. But thanks, guys. Have a lovely day. But I kept trying to fucking find ways to like stop it.
Stop what?
Just.
Right.
Because like, from my perspective anyways, the best way to end a podcast is for us to both agree on something and it feels good, you know? Because if we're both arguing all the time, there's a conflict, you know? Like, it's like a story. Like,
can I end?
Yeah, you can.